With the release of the new map Fracture, we know you Viper mains are hungry for lineups and setups to help you dominate on the map. Lucky for you, you've come to the right place. Here are the best Viper lineups and setups currently for Fracture. First up, let's talk about those juicy one-ways. Currently, there are 2 one-ways on the A site that we found to be particularly useful. First is on defense for A halls. What you want to do is stand in front of the doorway in halls and look for the middle diamond on the floor. Move your mouse all the way towards the ground and position yourself until you're in the very middle of the diamond. From there, look up towards the crevice where we're going to throw our smoke onto. Line up your crosshair in between the 2 rectangular bar plates to center your smoke, and then move your crosshair up just before you're into the crevice itself. From there, jump and right-click throw the smoke. This will help cover against enemies that try to push straight through halls to A. Particularly useful if playing under the A spike site, as enemies will have a very difficult time spotting you, or you'll be able to see their toes and destroy them. Next is one that we found for drop. To the right of drop is a slanted slope that Viper's smoke can actually land onto. To hit this one way, stand back to the opposite side of the slope, center yourself, and then aim your crosshair just below the horizontal bar. From there, take a quick step forward, jump, and right-click. This will place the smoke just above the bar and allow you to throw a one-way smoke for players coming out of drop. Stairs or higher up on the top of the site where they can get people trying to clear the site slowly, or players that try to instantly drop down. They'll have significant difficulty spotting players on site itself. These are just a few tricky one-way smokes on Fracture for Viper, but if you want to learn everything there is to know about this insane agent, then you definitely want to go to skillcapped.com. There we have a full comprehensive course on how to become a pro Viper player that will take you to a whole nother level of Viper gameplay. The link is provided in the description below. With the juicy one-ways out of the way, let's move into the hottest topic, molly lineups, and we're starting with the A site. First up is the default plant position at the top of A site. The first position you can throw your molly is in ropes. For this lineup, we're going to be using the crosshair icon just above the mouse icon for the molly ability. Line yourself up to the corner closest to doors and then turn around. You'll find a rooftop where you'll want to place this crosshair icon at the very top of the second furthest angle that's currently being indicated with a normal crosshair on the middle of the screen. Once you have that lined up, simply shoot your snakebite and it will cover a large portion of the top area on the spike site. This is particularly useful as those trying to defuse will have to take additional damage as they try to get out of the molly. Next is a lineup for the same position by @dish. Position yourself to the middle vertical crack on these rocks and turn around. Line yourself between the corner of this small rock and the third highest corner of the tall vertical building. Once you have these 2 positions lined up, fire away. This Molotov will actually bounce off the wall and again cover the default spot and a good amount of the top site, forcing defenders to have to take heavy damage. Moving on, we have the default plant position at the bottom of the site. This was a little tricky to find lineups for, as the top part of the site blocked off most ways of straight up hitting this area vertically down, but we did find a few ways to hit this area. The first is at dish, with a similar lineup that we just showed you. Position yourself in the middle vertical crack like we did earlier, and using the same small rock corner we used last time. From here, instead of aiming at the third highest corner in the building, we're going to line our crosshair up with the highest corner on the top right part of the building. Once you have that lined up, fire and the molly will bounce off the wall again and right down into the default plant position. The other way is through ropes, which is going to be in the same position we were just in earlier. This time we're going to use the bottom right corner of Viper's fuel bar to line things up. Line up this area with the bottom left corner of this rectangular metal piece that's sticking out, and from there, shoot, and this will land perfectly down and at enough angle to hit the default plant position. With A out of the way, let's go over to the Snakebite lineups for the B site. One of the most common areas to plant the spike is around these 2 containers, and these next lineups are going to cover the entire circumference of where you can plant around these containers. The first lineup can be done on bench. Run up to this corner and then look for the indentation on one of the bushes on this rooftop. From here, lift up the crosshairs so that it matches the highest leaf on the left part of the rooftop. Once you align these 2 positions, fire and watch as this magical molly hits the containers and covers every position that you may end up planting the spike based on your current position. No need to be too specific with telling your teammates where to plant, as long as it's next to the containers they'll be good with this lineup. Such a lineup can also be done at tree. Line yourself up to this vertical line on the wall. From there, look for this sharp drop on the top of the building in front of you. Line this horizontal position up with the tall building seen in the distance, and you'll want to line up the topmost part of Viper's fuel bar up to the right of the building right, where the side starts to swoop up and to the right. With these 2 positions lined up, fire. This again will cover all your bases around the containers. The second most common area to plant is the safe area on the back corner of the site where enemies won't be able to see you unless they push onto the site itself. To hit this area, we're going to use the vertical line on the wall at tree. This one is different from what we used earlier, so do make note of that. From there, we're going to use the crosshair icon and line it up to one of the corners on the glass window that's seen to your left. Once we have that lined up, you're going to need to run forward and immediately shoot after hitting 2 to 3 steps. This molly will bounce off the wall and hit right onto the safe plant position. You can also do this on bench. Line yourself up to this corner on the left of the animated screen and then line up the crosshair icon in the very middle part of the glass window that can be seen. A very similar point of reference which helps you make these two lineups easy to remember. Once you have that lined up, simply fire and the molly bounces off again in a way that lands right on the safe plant position. With the molly lineups out of the way, let's get over to some of the best wall lineups and setups that you can do with Viper on Fracture. We'll start off on B attack. Two positions you want to look out for are Canteen and Spawn. Without these covered, there are just too many positions to clear out as an attacker. By walling us off outside tree or bench, you can help your team focus primarily on the site itself and towers. Much easier to do than jumping left and right to find players, and you'll be able to isolate enemies much more efficiently, whether you're pushing from tree, bench, or both at once. A more aggressive wall you can do is outside tree at an angle that goes right through to tower. This will not only block off Canteen and Spawn, but will also obscure vision from players in tower, forcing them to back off or make an aggressive push, which they'll likely be punished for. The issue here is that you have less space to work with and you'll only be able to solely push from tree with this lineup, but with everything blocked off, this is very effective if you're going for a 5-man hit off one position. Now as a defender, there are two walls you can do. One of them is right outside of the tree barrier point. Line this up to cover the entry point to the site from tree, but also aim this at a slight angle to the right. This allows your wall to land outside tunnels, so this wall is going to block off both positions. Great for stalling and also allowing your team to potentially sneak their way close to tunnels to defend that area or flank attackers. On bench, a wall you can throw is close to the spike site at an angle that hits the corners right outside the tunnels and in the middle of the animated screen. This takes away an entry point for attackers but also slows them down from trying to take tunnels. Your team can use this passively to focus defending towers or aggressively for pushing tunnels. If you want to go more aggressive, you can line up a wall down bench from towers. This wall immediately blocks vision from players pushing through bench, leaving them vulnerable to getting killed if they walk through the wall. This also allows players to go for an aggressive down bench from the site itself, where they can push attackers to decide to risk it for a biscuit through the wall, or to reposition themselves in a sneaky off angle in case attackers decide to progress back through bench when the wall goes down. Last but not least, let's go over the wall setups for the A site. On attack, if you're going for a split push from drop and halls, you can line up a wall at spawn that will block players that are trying to defend from rope and link. Also good for post plants to deny vision from rotators and buy more time for the spike to detonate. One issue to note is that it doesn't cover the top of ropes, so players from drop will still need to challenge that area out unless they have an additional player that pushed through A door to check the top of the ropes. Now if you want to hard hit A from halls only, you can line up this wall from spawn that goes straight through drop. This will block off all common defensive positions that defenders may try to be in, and your team can solely focus on the site itself for your site hit. This wall is particularly nice if you know the players drop often, as they're forced to drop down if they want to try and help their team defend. Now into defense, a standard wall that can be thrown is outside of the stairs on site that will go through halls and into ropes. This will stop players in their tracks that are solely pushing through halls, or will help discombobulate a split push that the attackers were planning to do, thus allowing defenders to have better focus on which positions they need to primarily defend. This wall goes particularly well with the one-way smoke on drop that we showed earlier. With these two abilities set up in this manner, attackers will essentially have no way of pushing through to the A site without having at least a large majority of their vision blocked. If you want to aggressively take Hall's control, you can throw this wall right outside A doors and into the left corner of the Hall's entranceway for the attackers. This will completely obscure their vision, and they also won't be able to freely access A doors for a sneaky push. With this wall, a player could also push aggressively and tuck themselves into the left corner to get surprise kills for those who rush and don't end up clearing this position. That's all we've got time for in this video. Now go out there and become the Viper Master that you were born to be. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get more premium guides just like this with one goal in mind, helping you become a better player. We here at Skillcapped want to thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Good luck out there.